they are a double-digit favorite.
Yes.
And it does feel like they're already 4-0. But the reminders this week keep coming. Nick Chubb, Trayvon Diggs.
Jeez.
I don't want to just make it about injury, but I don't know what the hell's going to happen in October, November, and December.
No, but even like Joe Burrow, you mentioned earlier, like Bengals, Vikings, somebody's going to be 0-3.
Or Chargers, Vikings.
Yes, I'm sorry about that.
Someone's
but that's
going to be
like
0-3.
That's a cold slap in the face
Totally.
in terms of what you thought your team would be. And you're right. You come out here, and we have a great vantage point of the tailgate here at the Hilton, and the tailgate is already popping, and we are 3 hours from kick, and you drive around any of these streets, and people are streaming in.
Yep.
People are not thinking about Super Bowl or bust. They're thinking about tonight and how great this is.
I got a warm fuzzy driving in with the lovely Christy about an hour ago, and we're coming down Tasman, and I'm watching everybody just stream in, and I'm like, you all took the day off work. I'm like, good for you.
Yeah.
And that's what it, honestly, if I had to sort of describe the feeling down here, that's the feeling. It's not just that there's a 49er game, but everybody's got that, like, it's 80 degrees out and I've got the day off kind of vibe.
Yeah.
So it is. It's a party atmosphere that is starting to unveil here. And I certainly hope that the 49ers can meet that expectation, because it does go back to, if you're a 49er fan for a long time, the days of Montana and Young, when you would approach a football game and almost be disappointed if the final score wasn't 31-10.
Right, but at the same time, when you come out and you're here and you go to the game, yes, you want to win, and you would love to have it be something that's memorable, but something about a closer game to me becomes more memorable. If it's 38-3 tonight and you absolutely crush the Giants, it's great. You won the game, but it becomes a little bit of a tune-out, I think, in terms of how things go at the end of it. You'd much rather have like a memorable game where, the Giants are up 24-21 and Brock Purdy's got to lead you 75 yards down the field.
Do you mean what you're saying right now?
I totally mean it.
I do not agree with that at all.
You'd much rather have, if you're going to get a win, and let's just assume a victory, you'd rather have a more memorable win than you would like a garden variety 38-8 beatdown.
I want no traffic on the way home and the way.
Oh, that's not happening.
Sorry. No. Let me say it again. I want traffic on the way home. And the reason you get traffic is because some people leave a little bit early. No, I do not want stress. I do not want stress in this football game. This is not a stress-worthy game. They got one of those coming up in 2.5 weeks. And yes, there will be those that we don't see coming that will be stressful. I'm not saying I'm going to be disappointed if they only win this game by 7. Not necessarily. You got to see how the whole thing unfolds. But no, not this team, not this night. I do not want a close football game for the sake of fanning. No, thank you. They are way better than this team, and I want them to show it.
Sure. I mean, I don't want it because I bet the Niners and I gave the 11 based on the website that I have. And
I got 10.5.
Well, I feel like they should be able to cover.
Thing came out.
I think they should cover the 11, quite frankly, and I'm not that worried about it. But I was just thinking in terms of what becomes more exciting, what becomes more memorable. The last game at Candlestick has a nickname because of the way the game ended.
Sure.
It's called the pick at the stick because Navarro Bowman intercepted a ball and took it to the house, and that's how the game ended, and that's how you closed up shop. So, to me, more memorable is always better than just garden variety in terms of victories. I don't think tonight should be or will be that game. I think that they should handle business against a team that they are much, much better than, even without Brandon Ayuk.
Yeah.
But in football, as we know, you got to let it play out, and you never know.
Stuff happens. I don't need to tell you what this show would sound like tomorrow if the 49ers need a walk-off field goal from Jake Moody tonight. That will, to me, feel like getting doused with water a little bit with the 49er flame that we've all got right now. So I hear what you're saying from a standpoint of an entertainment value, but I don't think this party here tonight needs that at all. I think people are here more in the feeling of a coronation.
Right.
We want more evidence. We want more confirmation sensation, if you will,
that's a buck.
that this team is every bit the team, thank you, that we think it is going to be. In fact, I'd argue that is the first month of the season. And there are very few NFL fan bases that have the emotional opportunity that we have both tonight and next Sunday, and that is that our team is meeting its hype. The Cowboys, the Niners, you know this. We sat with Matt Nahagan in the office yesterday and heard the opening segment on Philadelphia's biggest sports radio station, and Nick Sirianni, the head coach, his opening interview or his weekly segment. And Matt goes, what do you think the first question was? And I go, I bet it was something along the lines of, why don't you look better?
Yeah, exactly.
And that's exactly what it was, right? Yeah. It's like there's disappointment of a 2-0 season because the Eagles haven't looked right. Like, who's got the look so far? The Chiefs don't. The Eagles don't. The Bengals don't.
The Cowboys do.
The Bills don't. The Cowboys do. The Niners do.
Right.
The Dolphins do. And I think that might be it.
Right.
I want to see it again tonight. Keep the look.
Of course. Keep the look. But as we learned last year, it doesn't really matter what you look like until you get to the games that really matter. If you're going to be a playoff team, it's better to have the look in January than it is to have the look in September. And last year they were 3-4. And the year before they were 3-5. And the Niners weren't very good in the first half of the year, yet they were able to turn it around, rally, and play well when it really matters. So, yes, I would love for them to have the look, and I think they will have the look tonight. There's no reason why they won't have the look. Like, to think about how they lose this game, to me, it's more about self-inflicted wounds than it is about, like, Daniel Jones, does he throw for 380 and 4 touchdowns? That, to me, is less likely than
no, it's a bounce off a helmet
punt
and a pick six.
Exactly.
Yep.
Funky stuff or mistakes, to me, is the way that this game goes sideways. So knowing that and knowing what Brock has been so far with 4 picks in 10 games, I like their chances.
Yeah. Yes. I love their chances.
Well, in terms of not being a self-inflicted wounds team.
They have been.
They haven't been that team.
That's exactly who Kyle has been wanting them to be all along, and it looks like they finally got the guy that is able to conduct that. So more on that in a second. We want to send sort of a special welcome to everybody in. Thank you for being with us today. Willard and Dibs live. Hilton Santa Clara on site getting ready for the 49ers home opener against the Giants. So if you're listening on radio, 888-957-9570 or the Xfinity mobile text line is at your disposal. Get on over to YouTube. Hello, YouTube, and Twitch, brought to you by First NorCal Credit Union. Glad to have you aboard. You can take a look if you want to get on YouTube and see our setup here at Hilton Santa Clara. And wanted to throw this out to you all. And again, 888-957-9570. We'll take your calls on this. I was thinking about it this morning because I'm cruising around and I'm listening to Bonte and Joe. And I'm going to forget the name of the gentleman they had on, but he covers the New York Giants. And Joe asks him a question, and he says, who on the 49ers are you really excited to see? Because, right, you cover the Giants.
Yeah.
So who are you really excited to see in terms of getting to see this 49er team? And I loved his answer because he said, you guys might not believe this, but the answer is Brock Purdy. And the reason I'm excited to see him is because I want to figure out why I hear people say what they say about him. In other words, dismissing his achievements and saying it's all because of this great team. And it got me thinking, because he's calling from New York, the home of once upon a time Linsanity. What if I threw this out at you? And I would love to get as many answers as possible. If any other QB drafted the last 2 years, okay, it can be Trey, but it can be Trevor Lawrence, Justin Fields, Kenny Pickett, or anybody else.
Zach Wilson,
go to
sure.
Bailey Zappi.
Desmond Ridder.
Any one of the quarterbacks drafted.
Davis Mills,
thank you.
my guy.
If any of those guys started their NFL career 10-0. How the hell is there not a fervor, a national fervor about this person? Please forget all of the, forget all of that for a second. Forget from a national, but Christian McCaffrey, and but Kyle Shanahan, and he's small. Like, yes, there's draftism involved in here. I've already coined that. I get that part of it is because he's a 7th rounder. But how in the NFL is there a 23-year-old essential rookie comes into the league, goes 10-0, and everyone's just kind of like, meh. We'll see. To me, right now, the national sports story, as far as individual Q rating, should be Deion and then Brock. As far as what has taken place.
Yeah.
If Trevor Lawrence did this in Jacksonville, Florida, we would not stop talking about him.
I wonder what the fervor, to use your word, was like when Ben Roethlisberger started his career 14-0. Because we talked about it before the show.
Yep.
And when he was a rookie, and he was 22, and I know he was more highly drafted than Brock Purdy was. Anybody, actually, literally every single player in history who was drafted was more highly drafted than him, or it was a tie because he was the last drafted player in his draft. But Ben came in, and they won 13 straight in the regular season. And then they won a playoff game. And then they lost to New England 41-27. And I'm trying to remember back in 2004, 19 years ago, what the fervor was like for a rookie, Ben Roethlisberger, who won 13 straight when he came into Pittsburgh, because I'm imagining that the fervor, the hype, the media hype was greater then because it was Pittsburgh, and, you know, he was a guy who was unique out of Miami of Ohio, and, you know, they did it in a little bit of a different way because he wasn't, and again, Brock Purdy's not throwing for 300 yards.
They ran the ball. They had great defense. You can say those things about the Niners too, but if you look at the numbers, they were not, 17 touchdowns, 11 picks. Like, they were not, the quarterback rating was below 100. They were not. They were
Good
not
old
where
quarterback
Purdy,
rating.
They were not where Purdy is, statistically.
Quarterback rating of 98.
Yeah, which is very good.
Different era, 19 years ago, where you didn't throw the ball as much as you do now. And Pittsburgh did have an elite running game. They had a Hall of Fame running back in Jerome Bettis, so they were going to do it differently no matter who the quarterback was. But I'm just trying to remember what the fervor was like for Ben Roethlisberger, because he did win 13 straight.
Yeah.
And, Brock has put up better numbers than Ben, and he's won as many games almost as Ben. And his team is, quite frankly, as good as Ben's was in that rookie year. Now, Ben would go on to win a Super Bowl, and Brock may or may not. But that, to me, is the only comp you can look at in terms of a rookie coming in and winning that many games.
I think the talk, and again, I'm just doing it by memory, I think the talk was pretty loud because you don't see it. And I guess that sort of belies my point. We don't. Ben is a great comparison because it's the only time in the history of ever where something sort of like this happened, except for that Roethlisberger was an early draft pick. And so even though he wasn't the top QB taken that year, and he wasn't supposed to come in and set the league on fire by any stretch, there was an expectation around him. You talk about Brock Purdy's size. Well, nobody's bigger than Ben. Hell, his nickname is Big.
Right.
That's his nickname. So,
well, it's partly because the clock, but he's a big dude.
Clock. I got it. But
if his name was Bill, he wouldn't be Big Bill.
I just keep trying to look at this, and I'm acknowledging all of the opinions that surround this. Kyle's a great play caller. There are teammates galore. CMC, Trent Williams. Sure, there's no denying that Brock Purdy has been put in a wonderful position as a young player. However, ... this doesn't happen. You don't go 10-0 to start your NFL career at age 23. You don't. And if it had been one of the guys who we expected to come do it, we'd be going crazy.
Yeah, if it was, Trevor Lawrence, or even if it was Trey Lance, we'd be going a lot more.
If it was Trey Lance,
crazy.
we'd be losing our minds.
Nationally, though, you're right. And I'm going to try and find what the coverage was like of Big Ben when he did that, because he did win 13 straight, and Brock hasn't quite reached that point. And, Ben was credited with a loss when he came off the bench, which he shouldn't have. And, Brock is given the loss for Philly when he got hurt, which whatever, he gets it or he doesn't get it, it doesn't matter. But what Pittsburgh had, other than Bettis, was not a lot. And yet they won games. They had a great defense, like this team, but they won games 17-6, 13-9, 17-16. And what Brock is doing, putting up 30,
averaging over
week
30
in
a game
and week out, is different than what Ben did.
No doubt about it.